All right, welcome to Talking Business with Ritz, the show that humanizes entrepreneurship. And I'm your host, Ritzel Loredo-Rectra. And today we're diving into an exciting journey of breaking barriers and embracing integrative healthcare for mind, body, and soul. All right, now stay tuned as we showcase the human stories behind innovative healthcare approaches where East meets West. So, right here on Talking Business with Ritz. So, let's get started. All right. Now, we are now in the Know the Expert segment where we're streaming this episode using the StreamYard. So this is the platform that makes hosting live shows effortless. Check out the link in the description to actually learn more. Okay, now get ready to be amazed. All right, we have an amazing guest today. We are thrilled to have a seasoned integrative medicine doctor on the show. So, she is the founder. All right, where's the other one? Here we go. So, she's the founder of Thrive Life Center in Tucson, Arizona, and leads the Revive and Thrive program. All right, let me just edit this one so that it will show nicely. There we go. Okay. All right, so she is passionate about holistic wellness. She helps high achieving women avoid burnout while finding fulfillment. So, as a pioneering Filipino trained in integrative medicine specialty and hypnobirthing, she brings a unique perspective to her practice. So, ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, let me. All right. Um, Please help me welcome Dr. Patricia Petralba. Here we go. Hello, hello.
Hi, Ritzel. It's so nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. Now, uh, Doc Patricia, we are thrilled to have you here on the show. How are you today?
Good. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great as well. Very excited to talk to you today. All right. It's now time to discover the person behind the title. Are you ready, Doc Patricia?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Let's start. Okay, where is it? Here we go. All right, now first question. Who is Dr. Patricia Petralba on a personal level?
On a personal level. Oh, I'm
Yep.
so surprised with that first question. Well, I can't deny I'm Pinay. So I was born and raised in the Philippines. I'm currently practicing in the US. Um, I'm a mom of two, and about to be a mom of three in a few weeks. So I'm currently pregnant, and um, what else about me? Honestly, I'm a very curious soul. Like I love learning and more about the healing modalities that I can share with my clients, with my family. Um, guess that's me in a nutshell. And I'm also a dog lover, a nature lover. I used to practice a lot of yoga in studios, but being a mom of two, it's mostly home practice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's me, I guess, in a nutshell. But of course, there's so much more to it.
All right, we will try to peel that off later on. Now, next question would be: could you briefly let us know how did your path begin as an integrative medicine doctor?
how how
How
did
did
I?
how did you became An
Okay.
integrative medicine doctor.
Well, long story short, you know, it, living in the Philippines, there's a lot of fascination around whether it's a shaman, kind of like a medicine man or a doctor. Our culture is very much in tune with, healing and making sure we do our job, how to take care of ourselves. And I went into med school thinking, I will have the holy grail. Cancer runs really high in my family. I'll have the holy grail into like how can I treat cancer and help people. But I felt that honestly after graduating medicine, it was the worst state of health that I have been. I was burnout and I knew how to diagnose, I knew how to prescribe medications, but healing in itself, like really true wellness,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the allopathic or conventional medicine did not really equip me with that. And thankfully, I had mentors who were already practicing holism, meaning really looking at the root causes and not just um, putting a band aid and just addressing the symptom, but really looking at what is the root. So that's usually mind body medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, when I was immersed in this world, basically I felt the best ever in my whole life. Like I lost X amount of weight, my mood was so good, my skin went well, and yeah, I never stopped after that. And integrative medicine was such a new word, like nobody knew what it was, especially in my conventional world. And that's
Yeah.
what brought me to Tucson, because University of Arizona is the pioneering institution training all the leaders of integrative medicine. So like
Mm-hmm.
the head of medicine of UCLA, Duke, all these Ivy League were trained from U of A, because of Dr. Andrew Weil, who is coined like the father of integrative medicine. So I was lucky enough to be also mentored by him personally and
Wow.
through the U of A, and I never left Tucson since. So
Wow.
yeah.
All right. Now, I love hearing origin stories. It helps us understand really who they are today.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now, let's get to know Doc Patricia on even a more deeper level. Are you ready for a lightning round of fun question?
Ready?
All right. Here we go. So, what is your favorite word and why?
Favorite word?
Yeah,
I would say resonance.
resonance. All right. Why?
Why? Well, resonance is, mm, it just reminds me of where I should stand, where I should not force myself into. So resonance is, kind of like when you're singing in a choir, like
Mhm.
how can you tune in? How can you align and make the harmonious sound? And, sometimes being a mom, being an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
like you feel that in some spaces you're not appreciated or you're irrelevant. And or with the client and friends. But if I come back to resonance, like I'm humbled that it's not personal, it's just we just sing a different song,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
All right. Now, next question. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Ooh, I think I'm more of a night owl, but being a mom, like they wake up early, so I'm kind of forced to be an early bird. I tried the 5 a.m. thing, but what happens is that they wake up with me, so my day starts super early. But yeah, yeah.
All right. So, what's your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
After a long day, it's basically getting outside, like meaning literally outside, stargazing, moonbathing,
Mm.
anything in nature, like anything natural really recharges me.
All right. One word to describe yourself.
My myself.
Yourself. Yeah. So many, is it?
Oh my gosh, so many things. I would say persistent,
Right.
perseverant. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Next. What is the one thing you can't live without?
One thing I cannot live without.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like survival places. Water.
Water. All right. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received? There you go. Water.
Hmm. The best piece of advice.
Yeah.
There's so many. I think, it changes for each milestone in your life, but what holds true is purpose over productivity.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, what's your favorite book that changed your life?
Oh my gosh, so many. But I would say that was absolutely a game changer. Mm, I prescribe this a lot to my patients because it's so pragmatic. Like there's so many take homes. And it's also by a sister and a mentor who recommended to me. It's called The Fourfold Way by
Mm-hmm.
Angelis Arian. So it talks about the four archetypes: the
Mm-hmm.
warrior, the healer, the teacher, and the visionary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. I'm going to look for that book. All right. Now, what's your favorite childhood memory?
Oh, always in the beach,
The beach.
beach trip. And I was lucky, our generation, we didn't have cable. I was always out playing with dirt, and so a lot of nature time. And my parents were very minimalist, so I didn't have much toys. And so I'm trying to recreate that with my children to really like the wonder of childhood in nature.
Yeah, that's so nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am also always out climbing the guava tree.
Yeah. My kids don't watch TV, so
Oh,
I'm proud of that. In this day and age, like a lot of kids are being nannied or through their
yes.
iPads.
Or they go like,
Yeah, I
scroll
know.
up, down.
Yeah, it's so sad.
That is so true. All right. Now, in 3 words, how would your friends describe you?
I would say passionate, reliable,
Mhm.
um, evolving. I think
Wow.
that's one of the things that they were very surprised, like that people can change. Because like there's a lot of habits that I wasn't proud of, and that's healing in itself, the repair work of who I was, and proving to myself and the world that people can change, people can transform if you heal your traumas, if you heal your mindset.
Yeah, that is so true. All right. Now, last question. What advice would you give your younger self?
That she is a beautiful soul, and to live with joy. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's awesome. Thank you, Dr. Patricia, for sharing those fascinating insights into your life. And
Yeah.
it's a pleasure to really getting to know you better.
Mm-mm.
All right. Okay. I would like to acknowledge one of our viewers right now, Frances Durakovic. Yes, hello, hello. She is from, she's a friend of mine. She's a Filipina and is currently in Canada. She's staying in Canada.
Hi, Francis.
All right, so now it's time for the next part of our show. But before we jump into that, if you're enjoying the show, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel and keep those questions coming for the Q&A segment later. Now it's time to learn from the expert and stay tuned as Dr. Patricia shares invaluable tips and strategies to help us drive in mind, body, and soul. So let's dive right in. All right, welcome back, amazing fan bums, to Talking Business with Riz. Now grab your pens and notebooks because you won't want to miss these game-changing strategies here in Learn from the Experts segment. Now that we've had the pleasure of really getting to know Dr. Patricia here, let's move to our first topic. Our first topic is Integrative healing, east meets west for mental wellness. So, Dr. Patricia, for the benefit of our viewers and listeners, I know you mentioned we've touched base on this a little bit earlier. Um, who are for the benefit of our audience who are new to this concept, right? In its simplest definition, what does integrative medicine means?
Yeah. So it is a combination of the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the traditional, natural, complementary to the conventional, modern, functional medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, we also want to look at the person as a whole, body, mind, body, spirit,
Mm-hmm.
um, and how that person interacts with the world. And the approach is always with the intention of getting to the root cause, because when you change the root, you change the fruit, versus just kind of putting a band-aid on the symptom and not really addressing why it happened in the first place. So that's it in a nutshell.
All right. Now, can you explain how integrative healing combines Eastern and Western approaches to support mental wellness?
Absolutely. So, um, and for the sake of also a disclaimer, this is only for medical education. It's not a medical advice. Feel free to reach out if you want a more curated and personalized advice.
Yep.
But so for mental wellness, when you really look at the connection of the mind and the body, the philosophy behind it simply is that the mind is the master, and the
Mm-hmm.
cells and the physical body is almost like the aftermath. It is the reflection of how our mind is doing. So when people or doctors would say, oh, it's just in the mind or it's just stress, it's not just. Sometimes it's like the top reason why your cellular health is behaving the way it's behaving.
Mm-hmm.
So if we could just open our hearts into that concept and really knowing the importance of mind
Mm-hmm.
with our physical health, then you'll be more thoughtful into how to approach your wellness. There's so many ways to approach it too, like from a body standpoint, like what are you eating, what are you consuming, not just from a nutritional standpoint, but
Mm-hmm.
like I have a lot of anxious patients. No wonder they're anxious. They're consuming like horror movies, action movies, and the mind cannot separate what's real and unreal. Like from a hormonal level and even a physical level, you tense up, right? When you're watching like a horror movie. So it, it's already real in your body. And then of course the soul, aspect of the mind, body, spirit is like, are you connected to your why? Like, are you connected to why you're doing what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Are you lost in the mundane of like the task and the daily things? Because if you're always connected to, like me, for example, like I'm always connected to why I did do this in the first place, then it gives me so much life force and it helps my mental wellness. So sometimes people tend to just go with the flow without
Mm,
really
yeah,
reflecting the purpose and the meaning behind what they're doing, and that tends to also distract them or lose sight and eventually lose their life force. So I mean, I could go on and on about it,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
this is a good framework. Like, check in with your mind, check in with body. What are you consuming? And then soul. Do you know your why?
All right. So that would be the answer to my next question, which is what are some practical strategies or techniques
Yeah.
Eastern medicine that actually that individuals can actually incorporate in their daily lives?
Right, right. I mean, there's so much, but I think, um, what is our environment? We are circadian. We have the sun and the moon,
Yes.
and because of modern life, like we have the luxury to still have light after night,
Yes.
and it disrupts that yin and yang. It disrupts that
Balance. Mhm.
exhalation. So imagine it for inhalation and exhalation. So inhalation is productivity, getting things done. Exhalation is repair, regeneration, healing. And we have lost a little bit of that repair, regeneration, silence, integration. So one of the practical ways for mental wellness is making sure, are you getting enough reparative work and regenerative work? And it can be as simple as nurture darkness at night, because the darkness itself is a signal to the brain, to the body, to like, no need to be productive anymore. Like, you can chill, you can just, and that will help a lot, especially for women's health, their hormonal balance.
Mhm.
um yeah, and artificial night at light has been shown to also have a correlation, not causation, but correlation to breast cancer in women. So a lot of nurses, shift workers, are a little bit more prone because it's literally inflamed. You're still inflamed. You're still with the light. So
Mhm.
darkness is equally important. So you want to really like invite that exhalation in your life.
Right. Yeah, they can't help it, the nurses, because sometimes they have to take care of, especially when they're in on night shift, right? They have to take care of patients in the hospital and all that. Wow.
Exactly. But what they can do is, when they're home in the morning, recreate that darkness.
Ah,
Like literally shutting off. So you're kind of like having that artificial circadian rhythm. Yeah.
all right. That's very, very interesting. Now, how can individuals actually navigate the integration of Eastern Western healing, aside from what you've already said, to create a personalized approach to their mental wellness?
I think the fastest way to be integrated and to know what's the steps is, to link arms with someone like me,
Mhm.
so that they don't get overwhelmed, because what's the problem is sometimes a lot of people get overwhelmed with a lot of the modalities.
Yeah.
Um so that would be the fastest way. But second is knowing who you are, like knowing your patterns, like recognizing patterns, um and behaviors. Like, how do you manage stress? How
Mhm.
do you celebrate? Do you even take the time to celebrate, or do you have some guilt or shame around like celebrating? Are you able to really pause and stop when it's vacation time? Because a lot of my highly driven women and executives, on vacation, they can't help it. Like they still check their email, So the
Yeah.
point is like knowing where you are before you even go integrating. But usually the best integrator is nature, like just being outside and reminding yourself you are a natural being. And we are so much bombarded with artificial light, artificial air, artificial ground, and honestly artificial water, meaning like not alive water. And in plastics versus glass, so it's not
Mhm.
high vibration, not high frequency, not medicinal water. It's very flat. So yeah, integrate again with where you came from, and simply by being in nature.
Yeah, yeah. Can't
Mm-hmm.
can't say that enough, you know.
Yeah, I can't say that enough.
All right. Now, those were fantastic information, Dr. Patricia. Now, let's dive into our next topic, which focuses on a common struggle many of us face, which is burnout. So, we'll explore how performance medicine can be a game changer in overcoming burnout and actually reclaiming our vitality. So, our next topic would be overcoming burnout, the power of performance medicine. So, what exactly is performance medicine and how does it differ from traditional approaches to healthcare?
Well, so performance medicine is, kind of having the intention that you are able to like perform at your maximum capacity,
Mhm.
like, but without the burnout. Whether you're an athlete, whether you're an executive, a mom, like you feel at your optimum, you feel like your life force is so good, you feel so good with your mood, and you're so productive. Um, so it usually, I mean, it's still part of holism and holistic medicine, but we tend to really look into what are the sources of oxidation, meaning like aging, rusting. So we look at also nutritional and environmental factors, like we do an in-depth testing, also, hormonal testing, and then we can fill in the gaps. That's the easy part because it's so easy to just get the test done and then
Yeah,
interpret it. The harder part is what got you there in the first place and changing that pattern, you know?
yeah,
So, meaning like your desire for sugar, or your lack of motivation to exercise, or your lack of ability to ask help. So it's so easy to give you supplements, to give you like a routine for exercise and all that. But what's hard is really like the behaviors around what got you there in the first place.
all right. Because if we don't nip it to the bud, you'll just recur again,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, understand. All right. Now, how can performance medicine help individuals? I think you've answered it, but I'm gonna ask the question anyway. So, how can performance medicine help individuals overcome burnout, and what are some practical strategies people can implement?
One is know your, so burnout is, the analogy is almost like a candle, right? Like you're burning out, there's no more wax. How can
Mm,
you fill up more of the wax so you don't burn out? So one is like asking help,
mhm.
delegate,
Yep.
knowing who your support group are. I think is having your entourage.
Mhm.
When we get married, we have our entourage, like the bridesmaid, the best man, and whatnot. You should have your entourage your whole life. Like know who your crew is, whether it's professional, personal. I think that would be the most practical step. Like have your tribe,
All
and
right.
one of it could be me, like an integrative doctor.
Right. Can you share a success story or an example of someone who has actually benefited from performance medicine in overcoming burnout?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I had a business owner. She's ready to retire. She's, I think, in her 60s, and basically can't wait to just like step out of the business, but it's a very profitable business. But she basically just got burnt out. And um so we did the testings and all that, but filled in the gaps with some of the nutrition and rewired her perception
Mm-hmm.
and on what to be grateful for, and focusing on nurturing the team, and then also focusing on not feeling guilty around essentially being a boss, like that she has the right to go to a yoga class at 8 in the morning and come into work at 10 instead of
Mm-hmm.
9 versus her employees. Kind of like just rewiring her practices. And then at the same time, also really leaning on um, rhythms and routines that help her integrate, like kind of if she's high stress, she knows what practices to do when there's high
Mm-hmm.
stress to unwind the stress. And there's many techniques, but essentially in just 3 visits with me, she felt so amazing. Like her marriage felt better, her relationship with her children felt better, and now they have a great plan
Mm-hmm.
to how to change leadership in her company, so that yeah, she can kind of uh, hand over the business without the drama, and she's
Yes.
not burnt out now. Like she's now like savoring the time that she's still there.
Right. That's a great actually that's a great thing to do, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes leaders don't really want to let go. It's like when they delegate, they feel like they're being incompetent now because if you don't do what you need to do, what you're doing, right? Sometimes you forget. You forget what
Mm-hmm.
it is now. And then when you like come back or something like that, you feel insufficient or you feel you don't know how to do it anymore. So it's like, what am I called
Mm-hmm.
now as a leader? I don't know. I don't know a thing now. Something like
Yeah.
that. Right. So that is a tremendous value bombs there, Dr. Patricia. So as our viewers absorb this information, let's now segue to the third topic, which is nourishing wellness, exploring plant-based nutrition. This is a topic that I really like. A carnivore. I am a carnivore. And I'm transitioning to organic plant-based food due to health. You know, we're getting older. So, what are some of the key benefits of actually incorporating plant-based nutrition into our diets, and how can it contribute to overall wellness?
Yeah. So nutrition, I just want to preface that nutrition can be very confusing because there's data to support both sides, like animal carnivore diet or plant-based diet. So I think you want to be thoughtful, like where are you happy. But the data, at least that I immersed myself in and that I've seen personally and my patients, is a whole foods plant-based organic diet really helps with inflammation,
Mm-hmm.
longevity. So one of the longevity studies is called the Blue Zones, where they incorporate kind of a Mediterranean diet, which is mostly whole foods plant based. That's high in what we call polyphenols,
Mm-hmm.
which is like antioxidants, and these are things that helps stop, slows down the aging or the disease process. These polyphenols are like whenever we're stressed, we need more oxygen. That's why it's antioxidant. So there's oxygenation or rusting that's happening. And the plant based sources of antioxidant, helps stabilize kind of the chaos that's happening
Yeah.
and helps prevent all the chronic diseases such as Alzheimer's, heart disease, cholesterol, inflammation, meaning arthritis. Um, so yeah, and it's funny because when we started plant-based nutrition, it wasn't a thing yet, especially in the Philippines. I mean,
Mm,
uh,
true.
everybody was like almost offended that we weren't take eating meat. It was such a big deal. I would be joking actually to my friends that I was a closet vegetarian for a while because I knew it was gonna have like a lot of reactions. And
Yes.
true enough, for maybe the first 5 years, but by the decade, they were like, okay, they're really into it, and they saw how much we haven't aged much,
Yeah.
and now and before, and my poor husband, of course, like the machismo were like, you're not a true man when you
You don't
don't
eat.
eat meat. There's that association.
Yeah.
And it's funny because now all these guy friends are, and he's also an integrative doctor, are asking him like how does he do his diet because they're now on cholesterol meds at 40s. And I remember when I was still practicing medicine in the Philippines, 40s and 50s is considered very young to be on medication. Like patients went on medication in their 60s. Like that's how kind of well preserved our health was because it's still whole foods then. Now there's a lot of fast food. So anyway, it just goes to show that we're in our 40s, and I hear it a lot like, oh, it's my age, I'm already in my 40s, that's why I'm on cholesterol medicine. Like, no, that's so early. Like, anyway, so that's the reason why like plant-based nutrition has had data on longevity, anti-inflammation, and stabilizing the any stressors.
All right. So that's insightful.
Yeah.
I can relate because when you I mean, in my field of work, right? I'm still in corporate, so I'm an IT consultant. I'm a system consultant. So stress level is quite high, right? Um, in my age, right, 40s, like that, my colleagues are also in the hypertension medicine, so they are on that one now. So it's like, oh my, what's happening,
It's
right?
starting to get younger and younger,
Yeah.
and I'm very concerned, like it shouldn't be that way. And antihypertensive medication or any pharmaceutical is okay to bridge while you're figuring it out how to approach it lifestyle. But when you're doing it on a lifelong basis, what it tells me is, um yeah, you'd rather keep the lifestyle and suppress what's the cause. And
Mhm.
the body has a way to like catch up. Like it can't forever suppress that hypertension. Eventually it will go into a stroke, into a heart attack. Medications are not enough. Like it's enough in the meantime,
Mhm.
but yeah, I've had so many successes where we've deprescribed the medication because they figured it out how to incorporate more whole foods, more healthier nutrition, and more movement and stress management in their lifestyle.
All right. Very, very insightful. Now, so for those new to plant-based eating, right, what are some practical tips or strategies for transitioning to a plant-based diet without actually feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah, I would say approach it like you were a child. Have the sense of wonder, play with it, no pressure. Maybe also look into recipes of foods that you really enjoy, and then how can you recreate that using plant-based ingredients. So like for me, I love kare-kare. That's like
Mm.
the curry version for Filipino. And that's so easy to veganize, and it's still very hearty because it's peanut based. There's protein. There's bok choy, so there's a lot of like of the polyphenols and the antioxidants in there and the fiber. And I would say, like, when you do your grocery, I use the example of a plant. So what's the seed? So you can have seeds, the nuts, and then the root. So it could be root crops, and then the branches and the leaves, and
Mm-hmm.
then the fruit. So you wanna like eat the whole plant so that it's a really like full spectrum. There's the carbohydrate, there's the fat, there's the protein.
Oh.
So when I go shopping, like, okay, do I have enough seeds and nuts? Do I have enough like root and the leaves and the colors? And one way also is at least eat two colors per day of the rainbow, because colors is also an indication of how much medicinal properties a food has.
Ah,
Mhm.
all right. Now, what was I'm going to ask? Ah, so in terms of like meat replacement, do you actually recommend that? Because here
Whole
in where I
foods, if it's whole foods, like because there's a lot of like artificial vegan meat now.
am,
I'm not an advocate for that because there's a lot of like, you know, flavorings and a bit more like not natural ingredients. I mean, if you want to try it for fun, like, you know, kind of like the Impossible Burger, or but you can do it from a whole food standpoint, like from beans. Like our burger patty is made of like pinto beans with um what's this, like sweet potato, then you add a lot of herbs and spices. So yeah, I mean, you can definitely recreate the taste or the sensation of meat.
mm-hmm.
But I would go more like whole foods recipes rather than like the processed ones.
Yeah, because here in Malaysia, uh, the meat supplement that commonly are being used are the bean card.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one, and then they add flavors like what you've said. But sometimes they use the meat extract, still meat, right? And then they put it together to recreate the meat flavor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, now so can you share example, you know, of nutrient dense plant based meals? You've already mentioned your burger, right? Or snacks that can actually support optimal health and vitality. Can you give some more examples?
Yeah, legumes, you know, are very high in protein. I love to add things like chia to my
Mm-hmm.
smoothies for omega 3. Um, and you know, my kids, they do eat vegetables, but sometimes they don't. So the easy hack that I do is like chlorophyll, liquid chlorophyll. I would put drops in their water. It's basically tasteless, so they're getting that antioxidant and polyphenol, the green, the main thing that makes green vegetables medicinal.
Mm-hmm.
May so much stuff like beets. Beets are very good for, you know, nitric oxide or like vasodilation. It's also very good for menstrual health. So yeah, look at the plant, like how rich its colors are. Berries, but I don't know how available it is in all climates, but berries are very low glycemic index but very high in antioxidants.
Mm-hmm.
um what else? So those I have like on a daily basis. The berries. I mean, curcumin or turmeric is one of the most potent root crops that you can have on a daily basis for anti-inflammatory, which is so easy to source. But there's so much data around the medicinal properties of curcumin or turmeric. So you can have it as a spice. So like in our tofu scramble, that's the thing that makes it yellow for us. Yeah.
Right. Um, yeah, we also use that as part of the fried rice here. So
Mm-hmm.
we call it our yellow rice. Right. So it's very there's a lot of studies on that, especially here in Malaysia. We have a lot of races here, Chinese, we got Indians, right? And then other nations also are here. So it's a mix. And most of the things that you can see in the restaurants are turmeric based, especially their curries. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
the problem is, no, they put a lot of other non-healthy stuff.
Ah, yeah.
That's the problem. All right, now this is an incredible live expert interview, Dr. Patricia, and I am very, very like mind blown with the stuff that you mentioned because integrative medicine is quite new to me as well. I know there's a lot of talk about holistic something holistic health approach and all that, but yeah, what you've mentioned today is quite different from what we've already from what I know. I don't know the others who are watching right now, but yes, this is like mind-blowing information, a lot of value bombs. So I thank you for that. All right, now as I mentioned before we started the show, I had collected some questions from my network, and yeah, I would like to start the Q&A. And let's do the segue. All right, so it's okay if you want to just drink water, you just drink water. All right, now I believe I've asked this question earlier, so let's skip that. All right, so what are some simple ways to manage stress and prevent burnout in everyday life?
Yeah. I would say two things: time and energy management. You want to, so there are studies showing that the moment you hit 90 minutes in productivity, your creativity, your efficiency starts to decline. So the moment you hit 90 minutes, you take a break.
Oh, okay.
So break could be anything that is outside feeling stress. So it could be like, calling a friend or getting out in nature or journaling for like 5 to 10 minutes or even do a breath work. But I would say the foundation of all stress management is the breath, because the breath is life. Like breathing is the main unwinding of stress, because it's oxygen, right? We keep saying antioxidant, and then. So are you mindfully breathing? So those would be two: time and energy management, and breath, and deep breathing.
All right. Now, yeah, the rest of the question had already been asked. Okay, let's do this. Can you provide some tips for maintaining a healthy work-life balance, especially for busy professionals?
Yeah, yeah. I mean that word, right? Balance, healthy work-life balance. So what does that mean? For me, it means that when I think of balance, there's a fulcrum in between. This is work, the first end of the spectrum, and then this is life on the other side of the spectrum, and there's a fulcrum here. And so
Mm-hmm.
you know how to pendulum from each side of the other. What happens with a lot of busy professional, they're always leaning heavier on work, that even when they're home, they can't turn off their work brain, and life doesn't get equally heavy weighted. So the balance is, um, always be in touch with knowing how to pause
Mm-hmm.
versus going. Whatever that takes. Like just remove yourself from always being immersed in the work. And like I said, know your why. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Like, are you missing the point? Like, why do you want this X amount of money and X amount of client if you're not enjoying your relationship with your marriage, if you're not engaging with your children at home? um and there are the top 5 regrets of the dying. It's
Mm-hmm.
a study done by a palliative nurse, and one of it is like, I wish I didn't work so hard. And then the other one is, I wish I had let my emotions more out. I wish I have my list. But those are like the common themes, and you don't want to be there, right? Like, live life in regret. So from now, like, have that balance. Like, just take a break. But of course, so simply said than done. And that's why, like, having a coach, having someone to facilitate and give you feedback, is so important, because these are programming that's so hard to deprogram from, because we are also validated so much by productivity. We're not
Correct.
so much validated with unproductivity. So, anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Long
So
answer.
it's okay. So yeah, that I don't know what you've said is really makes sense, because especially in corporate world, right? It is all performance based. So it is all about your result. How many hours you put in and all that for a day. Sometimes is used as a measure as well on
But
how you.
that's the thing. That's what science have been saying, that it's not really, time should not be a indicator of performance, because the
Mm,
more time that you spend on your desk, the less productive that you are. So, and that's also one of my advocacy for corporate wellness, which I'm also like a speaker for corporate programs, that the 90-15 minute rule absolutely work. Like, if you give your workers and your employees and the executive that mindset reframe, that breaking is actually productive, and working less will actually get you more results,
mm-hmm.
it's a game changer. Like, you're more inspired. Like, you're like, I can't wait to get back to it, because you're able to get out of it, you know?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
correct. So it's not like seeing it over and over again for a
Oh
long
my
period
God.
of
It's
time.
kind of like, how when we were kids, it's hard to listen to your teacher more than 45 minutes.
Correct. That is
They're
so true.
already like, "Oh, by 45 minutes, like, when is this teacher going?"
Yeah, our
It,
butts are burning
and
already.
then what
It's
do
not that.
adults do? We force ourselves to do it, like caffeine, and just like, we power through. And what happens? It's not a strong work. And
Yeah,
same thing with children. So for children, it's 45 minutes. For adults, it's 90 minutes. And some adults are still in the children mindset, which is 45 minutes. And that's fine. You know?
so true, so true. All right, so that's the last question for the Q&A, and let's now proceed to our next segment. All right, here we go. All right, welcome back, Fantastic Fam Bams. Here's the recap from the previous segment. So, in today's episode, we've managed to get a glimpse of Dr. Patricia's personal life in the Know the Expert segment. Now, in the Learn from the Expert, we've gained valuable information on the following topics. So, integrative medicine, Dr. Patricia actually highlighted the importance of combining Eastern and Western approaches for holistic mental wellness. And she also mentioned about overcoming burnout, where learning about performance medicine and strategies to combat burnout was really an eye opener. All right, now plant based nutrition. We explore the benefits of plant based nutrition for overall wellness. So it had left me inspired to make healthier choices. All right, now overall, Dr. Patricia's insight have given me a deeper understanding of how to prioritize my mental health and my physical health as well. So it's not just about absorbing the information, but implementing them into our business and our lives. So let's strive for progress, everybody, not perfection. So now let's move to the work with the expert segment to discover how our audience can benefit from Dr. Patricia Petralba's expertise. So, doctor, here we go. Can you tell us about the offerings or services you provide as an integrative medicine doctor? So the stage is yours.
Yes, absolutely. So I work with people in many ways. Of course, here I have my brick and mortar one-on-one personalized consultation, integrative consultation. Online, like globally, I also support a lot of women executives, one-on-one. I also have courses where if you're too busy to do one-on-one with me and it's a bit more economical, there's two programs that I have. It's called the Self-Love Challenge because love is the highest form of healing. And then the Healing Academy, where it's like a good overview of how to have an holistic lifestyle, mind body medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's two ways to work kind of in, like in a group coaching. And then I also have corporate wellness, where I am to curate uh, and in line with the mission and vision of the corporate, and how to improve the satisfaction, the purpose, the productivity, and that all executives and employees and staff feel good,
Mm-hmm.
in an easy way, not overwhelming. So through group wellness programs, and of course, a lot of executives that want a very quick result, transformational one-on-one global coaching is also available. Mhm.
All right, that's fantastic, Doctora. Um, and for our audience who are interested in working with you, where can they find more information or how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, so they can visit my website. I think it's like down on the stream, thrivewithdrpatricia.com, or simply email us info@thrivelifecenter.com. And that's my assistant's email,
Okay.
thrivelifecenter.joy@gmail.com.
All right.
And yeah, connect with me. I love talking to people. Yeah, any questions I would love to ask if you want to connect with me. And yeah, I'm all over social media. I have my LinkedIn, my Instagram, Facebook. Mhm.
All right. That's great. Now, Pambam, if you're looking to take your health to the next level, right? With integrative medicine, please make sure to check Dr. Patricia Petralba's offers in her website. Here we go. It's scrolling down there. Don't miss this opportunity to work with her. Visit her website, connect with her through social media, and you can email her as well. So I encourage you to reflect on the golden nuggets shared by Dr. Patricia Petralba today. And remember, implementation is the key to progress, all right? To our health. And that wraps up another informative episode of Talking Business with Ritz. This is a very incredible conversation that we just had. I want to express my deepest gratitude to you, Doc Patricia, for sharing your expertise today. It's been an honor having you here today, and we hope to have you again in the near future episode of Doctor of Talking Business with Ritz.
Yes, with pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Patricia Petrova. All right, again, thank you once again, my Pam Bam, for joining us today. And next on Talking Business with Ritz, our guest speaker is a personal, let me just share it on stage. Here we go. Is a personal stylist, body, and self image coach. Since we've already talked about how to take care of our body, mind, and soul. All right, in this episode, our next expert guest will be talking about how are we going to present ourselves in a more authentic way through fashion and dressing. So join us again in the next week episode. Mark your calendar, April 6th. All right, next Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Or if you are in the other side of the world, in my world, that's gonna be 11 p.m. So until next time, keep hustling, everyone. Stay inspired and keep thriving. This is Ritzel Loredo-Rectra and our expert guest, Dr. Patricia Petralba. Stay safe and healthy, everybody, and let's continue talking business with Ritz.